next item on the agenda is the 3-ring binders. And so if you open them up, first section is our table of contents. And inside of that, it has the full schedule for the 2026 Senior Living Education Series. So you can see every single topic that we're going to talk about each month. Obviously, it's always on the first Thursday of every month at 10 a.m. So we basically just wanted to give you the entire year in front of you and not just, have a sheet of paper with today's topic and some notes, because I was trying to put myself in your guys' shoes, and I personally would probably not be the most organized and would, like, if I were to go back and look at July, I would ask, where'd my July, note sheet that I took. So that's the main purpose. So yeah, that's the whole idea around that. It's kind of, we tried to be intentional about the topics that we did, and we tried to have them build on top of each other. So the first part of the year, we're focused on like more of the emotional side of things, and then we move into the three steps and how to know when it's time to make a move, how to downsize with confidence, and then how to build the right team around you. And then after that, we kind of cover legal planning, protecting yourself from scams, and then aging in place, and then just finishing on legacy, long-term planning, and then selling a home that you've lived in for decades. So try to be as intentional as we could and just try to make just real-world practical topics. So yeah, our hope is that these would be utilized, that you would take notes, and as you get different resources from our education partners and panelists, and you can just put them in your binders as well, so you just have everything in one spot. So with that, we'll go ahead and dig into today's seminar, which is the psychology behind letting go. And kind of like I said before, we felt like this one kind of sat at the foundation of everything that we're going to talk about this year, because before, like, planning and paperwork and like logistics and things like that, there's always just like the emotional side of things that need to be acknowledged and understood. So that's why today we're just going to just slow down, talk openly about why letting go is a hard thing to do, and share real world experiences and practical tools from our panelists, just to help you take away what a first step could actually look like. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started. I will have our panelists come on up, and if you want to give the panelists a warm welcome, you guys can go ahead and come on up. Yeah, I guess I'll just have Marlene, if you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then I'll have Courtney follow up after that, just so we can get to know you a little.
I'm Marlene.
Sorry, would you mind using the microphone as well? Sorry. Thanks.
I'm Marlene Shumley. I'm a resident at Park Center. I've been there now almost 7 years. I came from Bettendorf, Iowa. I made the right choice. At the time, I moved fast, but at this point, yes, it was the right move to make at the time.
Hello. Oh, it's loud. My name's Courtney Work, and I have a company in Des Moines called Preserved Home, and we do senior moves, downsizing, and estate sales, which are all kind of connected to each other. It's all about the move and the stuff, and I've been doing it for about 8 years. After my parents passed away, I was really sort of forced with this task to figure out what to do with their stuff, and I knew it was really emotional, so I started devising some ways to kind of help myself, and then it turned into a business. So now I help other people. So
Perfect. So before we start talking about strategies and steps that you would recommend, I want to start with talking about more of just the emotional side of things, because it feels like, just from experience and conversations that we have, that's kind of where a lot of people get stuck. So I'll have Marlene go. If before you actually moved into Park Center, when you first started thinking about downsizing or moving, what specific emotions kind of came up for you, and what made the overall process kind of feel hard emotionally for you, if it did?
Well, choosing to downsize can be quite a challenge for anyone. I knew it was coming. I've been thinking about it. And when the opportunity, or the occasion, it wasn't an opportunity, it was an occasion, happens, you just move. And sometimes you don't think about the emotion until after it's over with, and then you think, did I make the right decision? Well, we always have to plan that our own decision is the right way. And it's best to do it for yourself before you get to the stage where someone else makes that decision for you. If you don't know what you want to do, it's a lot less emotional to make the decisions yourself and to make your move. Like I said, I came from Bettendorf, Iowa. I was used to living in a metropolitan area, and to come to Newton was quite an adjustment for me. So I had a lot of different things I only knew one or two people in town, which was my daughter and the in-laws, the family. That's all I knew. But after moving, it was the right thing to do. And you never look back. You have to look ahead. If you look back, you get lost.
That's good. And yeah, Courtney, from your, I guess, experience in working with seniors, why does letting go often feel like just heavier than what people might expect?
I think it's not only seniors, I think it's true for all of us. I think change is the main thing. And there's been study after study about that it's just a really change equals the end of a time period. It also equals a new start that is unfamiliar. We don't know. And I think what you just said, Marlene, it's really helpful to be in the present moment and not to look back as much as you can. I think the best way, people also feel regrets if they start to get rid of things they don't think that maybe they should have. There's just a lot of emotions. So one of the best ways to reframe your thinking on that is just going forward, the freedoms that you'll have with less stuff, the freedoms and the peace of mind that you'll have, with just sort of a simpler way to handle things. Yeah.
Yep.
Really reframing your thinking.
Yep. And then kind of test 1, 2. I don't know. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Not working. I'll try to scream. So yeah, kind of leads nicely into, I guess, our next part of the conversation, which most belongings obviously carry more weight than just physical, and there's a lot of stories, memories, just a lot of connection with like actual items in the home. Marlene, I guess for you specifically, like, was there anything like inside of your house, or like a category of items that you felt like was hard for you to like sort through, get rid of, or anything like that?
I would say the hardest thing for me to give up was my home, because it was the first time in my life that I'd ever been able to build a home. We built it ourselves, or had it built. And to walk away from that and all my friends was probably one of the hardest things. One of the other things in this, you all have things that you want to keep, or things that remind you of something. It might be things that you picked up on travel, pictures, antiques, jewelry. I mean, there's so many things that mean different things to different people. Now, you'll all probably laugh when I tell you this one, but one of the hardest things for me to part with was my husband's tools. He had been a mechanic, and that was his pride and joy, was his tools. And he had the best of the best when it come to it, because he always said, if you don't have the right tools, you can't do a quality job. So it was kind of like giving up my home, my livelihood, and going on. Now I look back and I think, man, I did that all by myself, and I didn't have anybody telling me what to do. And that's what I would like to convey to you folks. Do your own thing. Do your own thinking. Don't let someone else think for you, and you'll be a lot happier. Make your own decisions on what is valuable to you. You can't take everything with you, but you take out the things that mean the most to you, and takes up the least amount of room. The more you keep, the bigger objects you keep, the less room you have. But keep things that will keep you happy, so you do have good memories. He's a good example of Just looking at a picture can upset me. But it will go away. But I mean, he's got good memories, and that's what you want to do is keep the good memories, and you just have to part and go on, live in the present, and want to grow. Just because you're old, you don't need to quit growing. You learn something new every day. It's very beneficial.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it's that story. I think just highlights how personal it is for everybody. Because like you were personally attached to your husband items, where it's everybody's own situation's different, so they might be attached to something else. But it's just a good perspective. I guess Courtney, when you're working with someone in in that situation where they're moving and having a hard time getting not getting rid of stuff, but just figuring out what to keep and what not to keep, I guess. How do you help them separate the memory from the item itself without minimizing what it actually means to them?
Yeah, I think, again, it's just listening. If you had a friend helping you or there's a company helping you, or listening to acknowledging feelings. Never say it's just stuff, get rid of it. If, like in my own personal example, when my dad died, my brother and my mom already passed away. My brother and I were sorting through things, and we both wanted the yellow colander because all of the macaroni and the spaghetti, everything, there was so much emotion with that. It's see both our parents. So we actually passed it back and forth for a couple of years. And since I'm the older of the two, I now have it. But it's, they have beautiful things, and that was the thing that we both really felt attached to. So it's okay to keep those things. As you said, keeping things, not minimizing, like who would want the colander? Like you would never do that. But you really do have to sort of, the Marie Kondo thing, if it brings you joy. I almost also say, even if it doesn't, even if it brings you a ton of joy, but it's too big, you should probably get rid of it. I mean, everything doesn't have to be like the most amazing thing. So it's definitely listening to people and helping them, just guide it to that. Yeah.
Yep. And then, so it kind of shifts into a different another conversation, which seems like some people would feel guilt in getting rid of stuff, and it seems like some people might feel stuck, not because they don't exactly know what to do, but because they're worried about how others might feel if they get rid of this item. So I guess Marlene, for yourself specifically, you mentioned you had a daughter. Did you feel pressure to keep things for her, any other children or grandchildren, and I guess how did you navigate that conversation?
Well, there again, looking back when I broke up, I was the only one to sort out my parents' things. And one of the things we did, and then I did it with my own kids, you notify them, find out what means something to them. Maybe they want it, maybe they don't. Maybe a friend, there's something that they want. Give them the opportunity. And if nobody wants it, you have no use for it. Pass it on. Because if you don't pass it on, it's going to be there and nobody's going to want it. And you won't know where it goes. This way, if you make the decision to let it go to someone that you love or someone who wants it bad enough, let them have it. What I mean, that way you know where it goes. Otherwise, if you hang on to it and somebody else has to come in and do away with your stuff, it's kind of sad, but it could go somewhere where you wouldn't want it to go. So kind of make your own decisions and let people have a chance at what means something to them. It might be something really crazy that has no value whatsoever, because it means something. In my family, I have an old wooden rocking chair. It has no wood grain, nothing to it. It was my great-grandmother's. And my grandmother had it re-glued for me, and it fits me perfect because I'm short. And it's been passed. I asked my grandma for it. She put my name on it. I got it. I've had it in my home. When I broke up housekeeping, my granddaughter said, "What did you do with that old black?" Well, it's kind of black now. The wood is this colored chair. And I said, "Well, blah, blah, blah." And she says, "I want that." Well, it's in her home now. We no longer, I don't need to worry what happened to it. She loves it. I don't know how the thing is. Cedar chest, the same way. So if somebody wants it, let them have it. That way you have the satisfaction of knowing you enjoy it.
Main thing I took away from that is to be proactive and just having conversations, like with your loved ones and or friends or anyone else. Like if you wanted to go somewhere specific, just start having those conversations. And then, yeah, I guess Courtney, just keeping on thinking about, I guess, guilt from your situation and how often do guilt and family expectations slow the process down for you, just like in your line of work? And like, what do you give families so they don't intentionally make it harder for the person that's actually trying to move?
Right, right. So Marlene's right. It's a great way to start. We've had families that are having conflict on what to do. And that was really part of why we started doing estate sales, because it sort of took it away from everybody. That's like a practical sort of way to do things. But another way, we have this binder, and a lot of people that help, like I do, have these binders full of very meaningful ways to donate. So then it's intentional again. So if nobody wanted that rocker but you couldn't take it, you could look at this list that says there's a service for women who need furniture. There's the giving tree that part of the proceeds go back to hospice. And then it's much easier to let go because you're proactively helping another person. That's really the best fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good. So I would say kind of at this point, some people might be thinking, I understand, why getting rid of things is hard, but they don't exactly know where to start yet. So obviously understanding the emotional side of it is important, but having that first step will help things feel more manageable, I guess. So I guess, Courtney, when someone feels, from your perspective, just overwhelmed and just doesn't know where to even start, what would you recommend be the best first step for them to take?
This is my expertise. Nancy and I were talking about it when I got here, and it's really, don't overwhelm yourself. And you also have to dedicate. Lots of us will start going through a door like, well, now's a good time to start going through this. It's actually better if you dedicate like Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 1:30 or 1 to 2 o'clock in a bin that says donate and another bin that says toss, and make it and a garbage bag, and make it an actual event for yourself. And again, like 30 minutes actually is kind of a long time. And I would also say start first with your bathroom, and then move to your laundry room and your kitchen, because those are the 3 easiest rooms. You start with the bathroom and you start going through prescriptions, anything that's expired, any lotion that's this much left, and this really easy step, and you start to see the drawers decluttering, and it gives you some, and then you stop. And the next time you do another room like that, it gives you momentum and it gives you structure, and it is less overwhelming to throw that kind of stuff. Clothes and photographs are the hardest for people, and holiday items, because they have so many memories attached to them. Spatulas, well, like I love the colander, so that was hard for me. But if you get to your kitchen and you want to go through that, I always tell people to put things in categories, put all your spatulas together, and you'll realize you only ever use that one, and you have 7 more. You can put it in the donate bin, or if it's all junked up, you toss it. So you have a system. You have a very intentional system for that.
Yep. My wife and I's motto is if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. So it's like, put it on the calendar, just do it for 30 minutes a day and call it good. And I guess, Marlene, once you started the process, were there any practical steps or things that you did in order to just start out to help make things not as overwhelming, I guess?
Well, when I decided to move, it was kind of good, because I'd been asked to move by my children to Newton. Something happened to their father. He passed away, and I came up and looked, and I decided, I want to be closer to my kids, because I had experienced being away from my family was in Waterloo when I was in Denver. And every time something went wrong, I had to run to them. So I'd had this experience. So it wasn't hard for me to decide that rather than have my kids from Newton run to Bettendorf, I would run to my kids. So I knew I was going to have to make the move. I liked Park Center when I seen it. I went home, I put my condo on the market, and it sold the first hour it was publicized. I like to brag about that. I don't know whether it's the price, the location, what it was, but it makes you move right now. So I kind of had to make a lot of decisions fast, and I did. There again, I'll say I didn't look back because I'd been thinking about this. I knew it was going to happen. And so I wanted to make my decision. My husband knew what I was going to do, and it just made it all easier. So if you talk about these things, it's like death. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but it's life. You have to live in the moment. Discuss it with your mate, discuss it with your family, and decide what you want to do. And you don't always have to do it as fast as I did. That was ridiculous. But at least have in mind what you think you would like to do.
Kind of shifting the focus, I guess, a little bit. A lot of people spend time thinking about, like when they're actually getting rid of stuff, is thinking about what they might lose, but not necessarily thinking about the flip side of it, of what you said earlier, Courtney, about the freedom, and they're not necessarily thinking about what they might actually gain from the move slash getting rid of some items. Courtney, like, what do people usually say a few months after everything is like settled in? And we talked about this before about how we like to go and visit, resident or clients that have moved somewhere else after downsizing, and just visit them and see how things are going. So from that perspective,
Yeah. We kind of go around to a lot of the same senior communities when we move people. So if we're there, we'll check in and just see how they're doing. And I would say it's on average 3 to 6 months where they say, I should have done this a long time ago. I've met some great people. I feel lighter. I feel calmer. And I think an interesting one too that comes up, which is really good, is they feel very accomplished. Like they tackled a really hard thing and they did it, and they feel good about it. And they feel like it's all okay. And one woman said, I can't even remember what you donated. You're like, that's good. That meant we were successful and she was successful. And I really think, and you can speak to this personally, is that something that you felt as well?
Yes. Very much so.
yeah. Now I'll ask the same question. Yeah, we'll just go right into it. Like on the other side of things, after being moved in, was there anything that like surprised you after the move, emotionally, practically?
Well, I've never lived alone all my life. I went from living with my parents to being married, so on down the line. So I've never ever been alone. And to move into a complex, I thought, I don't know these people. But the people were also friendly. So you just start a new living process. You've got a different family. The people you've got around 100 units there. They're all your friends. Well, I mean, you can pick and choose who you want to associate with, who you don't want to. You can live alone. You can have a lot of friends. You can have no friends. And I found it very comforting to know that there was people there that I could make friends with, and they've all become my family. And you're with people of your own age group. A lot of you share the same interests. A lot of you have had the same family experiences down through life. Just have to grow old is what I mean. Just because you grow older doesn't mean you have to hibernate or anything. You live, like I say, in the presence and enjoy the presence time. Remember the good memories. That's what helps you live in the presence. You remember the good times and try to shadow out the bad times and want to learn and grow. Just because you're old doesn't mean you have to quit growing.
Our real estate team, when we were going through getting certified as a certified senior housing professional, we were required to do a focus group. So we did it at Park Center, and we had a conversation with 6 to 8 residents, and to repeat basically what Courtney said is the point of the focus group was basically to just, I wanted to learn, since they had already moved in, I wanted to learn just more about the process, like how things went with their own realtor. Did things go well? What could have their realtor done better to help them through the process and things like that, just to be able to learn more about how we could help. And my last question that I asked was like essentially along the lines of if one piece of advice essentially, and they all said that they wish they would have done things sooner. So to kind of repeat what Courtney already said, but yeah, I guess other than that, we've kind of gone through the questions fairly quick. Before we open it up to Q&A, do either of you have just any one last piece of advice for the audience at all?
Yeah, I would say that, again, the biggest thing is to validate feelings, and if you have family members that are pushing, and just to remind them that this is a difficult process, and anybody helping you, your friend or whatever, you really just have to honor that, because once you do, it really gets easier. It really is the psychology. There's a lot of psychology to moving. They change. It doesn't matter what age you are. It's hard. It's change. And again, start small. There's small steps. The 30 minutes on your calendar. Get set up like it's a real event. That really helps you chunk away a little at a time, and before you know it, it's so much done.
You have any just last closing thoughts, pieces of advice at all?
Well, I would ditto what Courtney says all the way. And the other thing, make your own decisions and don't wait too late, because there's a lot of good living after 80 years old. I'll vouch for it.
Perfect. I guess we can open it up to Q&A now. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to just raise your hand and we can answer them. Perfect. Go ahead.
I had a question. I was told that sometimes it's easier to take photographs of large items that people can have, but I would think that would make people sad if they were looking back at like they'd seen once after they no longer have. Have you had any experience with if that's a valuable thing to do?
In terms of just keeping it as a memory.
Yeah, so like for instance, like we have family members who are antique collectors, and when they do decide to downsize, they're going to get rid of a ton of antiques that they've collected their entire life, or art. Does it make sense to create a photo album of these items for them to reflect on, or is it better that like once it's gone, it's
right?
It close that chapter.
It's such a great question. I'm glad you brought it up, because when we first started doing this, we offered that as an option. And I did go back to a couple of those clients and I said, do you look at those pictures? She said, just taking the pictures helped me get rid of them. I never ever look at them.
Okay.
So it was almost like the process of honoring it in its own way. And you can put it on a thumb drive. But she said, once it was gone, but that was a great process for her. So I don't really think it would hold them back. I doubt that they'll look at them again.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a good thing maybe to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question. Does anyone else have any other final thoughts or questions?
Well, I just have kind of a question, experience, whatever, because we kind of inherit every family member that passed away, and we cleaned out their places, picked up the boxes and new stuff that they're comfortable. And so they've been in our storeroom for 8 years, from my side of the family to the side of the family. And do you have any suggestions on how to tackle, people say that my kids, well, kids know we have space in the basement, so they're not taking anything to their house. But when, we prepare, it's like to get rid of some of those other things that we did here initially, like, for example, Jim's mom, to move the crap stuff out of the apartment and I'll pay for a basement thinking, oh, we'll clean it up in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, the good news is there's so many of us and so many people with that same scenario. And not as a sales pitch on any level, but an estate sale really is a great way to get rid of things. Nancy and I were talking about that when I came in. It's like, rather than looking at it as like a way to make money, You look at it as a way for people to come in and physically move things out for you and give you a little bit of money if you do it that way. The other thing is just unfortunately going back into everything and deciding what to donate and what to keep if it means something to you. If you don't know what's in there and you don't care, sometimes it's better to just move it on in the box. Really. Because I know, like, we keep things, we store things, we keep things in boxes. It's almost like we put them in a tomb anyway. So, like, I always tell people, if you donate or you sell it, it's kind of releasing it back out into the world, and it frees you up a lot. I hope that answered your question. It's a really common problem. Yeah.
Any other thoughts or questions? Yep.
I always thought that Christmas time is always a good time. That's the only thing.
I like that. Yeah,
Spread the joy.
I like it. I like that.
It's a comment. So one of the things I do is volunteer at the Grinnell Historic Society, and we just built a museum. And so if you ever do have these pictures, especially like small towns, so like Grinnell, and we've had families donate photographs that to other people would be nothing, but because of the architecture, the buildings, the background, it helps us kind of put that history in place. Our local library has archives and different businesses. And so a lot of people who've been in our community for a long time donate matchbooks and coffee cups and companies that, a Coke company that used to be there, we would get all kinds of donations. So instead of giving it to like a thrift store, I would also recommend checking with the Historic Society in your area because we love that stuff. I mean, we had a family donate. There was a woman who collected obituaries. We have 4 ginormous Tupperware like containers full of obituaries, and these are records we didn't have. So now we can look back and say, oh, well, now we know, when this person passed, actually have the obituary to tie into their stories. So I would always reach out to your local historic societies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just to comment on that too, there's so many resources, like Courtney said. If you are having trouble getting rid of things, there's so many different resources to help that like people just want stuff. And there's so many businesses and nonprofits and other places that will take things. So instead of throwing it in the trash, if you want it to go somewhere that's a little bit more meaningful, there's definitely places and different locations that it can go. So, yeah.
And that really does help let it go. Like I said, when I first started, I had such a difficult time donating my Sarah stuff because I couldn't take all of it. So now when I reach all these different places that specifically about people or donated to, part of the proceeds went to hospice, which we had, which meant a lot to me. It was so much easier to do that.
Has that offered? Nobody wants them. I just, they sort of better on them. Yes, we had a bunch of collectors, and then we told that they were over the moon for that because they can sell them to people. The Historic Society of Newton, they will want them. So you could donate them there. Yeah.
I'll have to get contact.
Is that the same thing? Yeah.
Jasper County.
Okay.
Yeah, some, so like, Without has its own, Power Street has one for our people. Jasper County has one. Some towns have their own. But I know like your county will have one.
Okay. Yeah.
And I know we've contacted high schools in the Des Moines area where we only have taken them. This depends if they don't have them. But it's
the high school itself, yeah, for the library. Oh, okay, good. You know, colleagues will not take that.
Good questions and comments. Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap up for today. So just want to obviously thank you both for being here and being willing to participate and share your thoughts and advice for everybody. So if everybody just wants to give them a hand real quick.